As we understand more about the patterns and the predictability of rainfall and temperature, it's no longer Africa and famine. It's a question of when will there be a major drought event that will influence the major agricultural landscape of the United States, and are we ready? Temperatures have warmed year by year, decade by decade. We've just run through our 3 warmest years on record. If we have big storms creating havoc in Texas, we're also creating drought conditions. There are 2 sides of the same coin.
Most Americans don't think it will impact them personally, and that's especially true between the coasts in the middle of the country.
This is already impacting Middle America.
This is what a drought looks like. The Great Plains give America a lot of its crops and cattle, but without rain, raising either of those is pretty tough. So today, these ranchers are selling the cattle they just can't afford to feed. Where are these cattle going? Who's buying?
Well, because of the drought, almost all the cattle that we'll sell today will go out of state because there's just such a shortage of feed and of hay and of grass. Rather than sell, as an example, 300 to 500 head on an average sale day in the summer, this week we'll sell over 2,000. Some weeks we've sold 2,500, 2,600. So it's a lot more than normal.
Wow.
This grass actually is greened up. We had cattle in here and we had a little bit of rain on this land right here. It greened up, but it didn't grow very much. As you can see, if it'd be an inch tall, that would be all of it. We've probably sold 80, 90 cows. These little towns dry up when there's no crop or no money. I mean, that's what we depend on is agriculture, and the whole town. Our whole state is that way, really. If there's no feed, you cannot keep them. So they haul them in and sell them. It's sad, it really is. And there'll be older guys that'll quit. And that's what happens, why we've got less farmers. I mean, those guys won't get back into it. So it's just one more farm that's gone.
So this is sorghum here?
This is sorghum right here, yeah.
And it's meant to be a drought. I mean, it is a drought-resistant crop,
right.
But it's not faring so well right now.
No, it's staying green, but it's not growing. So
it should be waist high.
It should be waist or chest high, yeah.
If the drought persists a year even.
It would wipe out a lot of people. But hey, the rancher and farmers are optimistic. Hey, we're one day closer to rain every day,
right.
But we don't know when that day is.
No rain here, mixed with hot and dry conditions, means drought. But in other parts of the country, it means this. Wildfires ravaged the western half of the country this year, with more than 47,000 fires burning up homes and forests in an area larger than the state of Maryland. But these droughts and wildfires aren't happening in a vacuum. They're part of a pattern that affects our whole climate. And few understand this pattern better than NASA. Remember NASA? We used to throw parades for their feats of science. Today, with considerably less fanfare, they're using science to warn us about the climate.
So this is our current fleet of Earth-observing satellites. We have more than 20 instruments, including the International Space Station, where we're using the station as well as these satellite platforms to collect data about the land, the oceans, the atmosphere, and the way that our planet's changing. And so my job as a scientist is to take data from almost every one of these individual satellite missions and then combine them as we put together the picture of the entire globe.
So right now we're looking at a map and I see the number 2095 down in the lower right. So we're looking into the future right now?
We're looking into the future about 100 years. This is using our most advanced climate models and their projections of rainfall and temperature and the amount of water that would be left in the soil. What we see in the projected climate towards the end of the century, if we were continuing to use fossil fuels and add more greenhouse gases to the atmosphere, is that regions that don't regularly experience drought, something that might be a once in a 50-year type time frame, might have those types of drought events a couple times a decade.
Wow. So I'm from Texas, a lot of farmers down there. This could be tough for people who grow crops.
If these drought events, projected to become more frequent and more intense, occur at critical parts of the crop growing cycle, that would be devastating for food production in the United States.
How does human activity contribute to a changing climate?
So human activity contributes in a whole range of ways. What we tend to focus on first is the way in which human activity is releasing more greenhouse gases. Most of the greenhouse gases are coming from the way we produce energy. Today, more than 90% of the greenhouse gases that are produced from human activity come from burning fossil fuels for energy production. Looking at those potential solutions has taken us now to look very carefully at the way we produce energy and moving away from burning fossil fuels, coal and natural gas in particular, towards more clean forms of energy that don't release greenhouse gases.
Those greenhouse gases build up in our atmosphere and trap heat that would otherwise escape. We've put a lot more of those gases into the atmosphere just in the past 100 years or so. And historically, as greenhouse gases go up, so does the Earth's temperature. Of those greenhouse gases, the most important are carbon emissions. And according to a new study, 71% of global carbon emissions come from just 100 companies. 27 of those are based in the U.S. How do some parts of the U.S. get drier while some parts get wetter?
Well, when we talk about the world warming as a result of climate change, it's not just the land that's warming. We see warmer sea surface temperatures across, especially the tropical belt. As we add more energy to the Earth as a system, we evaporate more water. So that extra warm water adds energy to the storms as they form, allows them to grow large very rapidly, and also allows them to last longer than they would if the water that they encountered was much cooler. Flash flooding, or in this case, strong hurricanes, that moisture is unavailable to go elsewhere. So the winners and losers are often happening at the same time as we move water around the planet. Someone's missing out while someone's getting too much.
We're in North Houston. That's where I was born. That's where I grew up. I've never seen it like this.
We're going all the way down to the right. They need help down there.
So 106 seniors in this home. That's what we just heard. Been bringing them out one by one, loading them onto boats and trucks and getting them out to safety.
Everybody always asks all the time, why didn't they just get out? Well, when you don't, it took us 4 hours to get about 30 minutes across town right now, and that was by luck. So, folks trying to leave and get out to find a spot that's passable is, near impossible. It's heartbreaking to see a lot of these folks, and they get picked up and get ready to leave out, and they have nowhere really to go. How do you plan for this? How do you, some of these folks that are leaving out of here, where are they going? Is there a place? Hurricane Harvey alone pushed more than 30,000 people from their homes.
From Houston to Florida to Puerto Rico, 2017 brought one of the deadliest and most costly hurricane seasons on record. Many of the people in the path of those unusually severe storms ended up in shelters like this one.
Yeah, you can see the walls just ripped out of that building right there.
Yes, sir. The next one over to is flattened like a pancake. That was a big warehouse. Here for now, we're from Holiday Beach, Rockport, Texas.
So your house is back in Rockport?
Rockport's completely down, collapsed. Houses, buildings, rock buildings all collapsed, broken down, flattened. RVs turned over, houses destroyed.
What is your plan? I mean, what are you looking at over the next few days and the next few weeks?
We're working with the FEMA process right now. We're waiting on it and just filled out the application.
I heard him crying outside of our house when we went back, and I went outside and found him under a tree. So we just decided to pick him up, and since we found him out there and rescued him, we decided to name him Harvey.
Gotta keep your heads up and keep on moving. As long as you got each other and family around, and love around the air, and just keep your hearts big and your heads up.
So we're talking about kind of a double whammy. If we have big storms creating havoc in Texas, we're also creating drought conditions. And they're two sides of the same coin. Those warmer ocean waters have a whole range of impacts, and they're all interlinked.